Teep, are you there?
I think.
Yeah, hey guys, I got about 15 or 16 minutes
All
before I
right,
gotta
well,
go.
it ain't gonna take very long, and then you could drop off like you usually do, and go make sure that you're, got the ball and chain on for the morning. But
Yeah, I'm useless anyway. You're not missing it much, Not
well,
this
let's
weekend.
talk about Roberto Sozi Souza's brother, Marcos Yoshio Souza, against Falco Neto, who is Manel Cape's teammate, by the way, in case people don't know that, and one of his really good friends. Mohammed, you got some shit to say about this fight? Have you seen Falco
Who is
fight?
this? No, I haven't seen Falco
He
fight.
fought in Bellator last time. Teep, you probably saw that fight.
Yeah, man. Fabian Edwards. I think it was Bellator Birmingham, was it?
It was
I think so.
9 or something. Yeah.
He got up kicked in the face, so he came back down for a couple more.
Shit.
And then Fabian popped up with the left hook, and they gave him some dinga-da-dang to finish it off.
Yeah, but you know what? I do got to say, Fabian Edwards is really good, and Falco fought him pretty good up to the time where he got finished, of course.
I mean, losing to Fabian Edwards is like, I think, 19-0 amateur and pro, or 18-0. So I mean, losing to him doesn't mean much.
Yeah, not ashamed of anything. You got a pick for that fight?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh man. No, I don't have any kind of intellectual pick, but I'll go with Cape's teammate. What the fuck?
I'm gonna go with Falco as well, just because Souza in his last fight didn't look very good at all. I know he's fighting Keitaro, but he just didn't look very good at all.
To the wolf. It's hard to look good against somebody that experienced.
I agree, but from the opening bell, Keitaro hit him a couple times, and he looked like he turned his back.
He just did not want to be there. That's why I'm thinking this is a much better suited matchup for somebody of his level of experience right now. And I think it'll look much more competitive, and he won't look as out of his league as he did, standing there turning his face away from those strikes. But I'll go with Souza in this one.
Okay. I would totally agree with Muhammad, but it's interesting why Neto is fighting in Rizin. Because after his last fight, as Tip mentioned, he was controlled by Mohegan Commission, something like that. This is a body which tests Bellator fighters, and he did not pass the test.
That's why he got kicked out of Bellator, right?
Yes, he had nandrolone in his body, so he's suspended for I don't know, half of a year.
Well, I think the other thing is Rizin's trying to add to their 170-pound division. Isn't it 79 kilos, 170?
Look it up.
174.
It's more, isn't it? Yeah, 79.
174, I think, on Tapology.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, either way, that's basically their welterweight division, right? And Rizin, they don't have a lot of welterweights, as we know. They don't have a lot of people to go against Keitaro and some of these dudes. I think that a lot of these bouts on this card, including this next heavyweight bout that we'll talk about, are starting to add divisions to Rizin that we haven't previously seen. The 145 to 170. I'm really happy about that. What do you think, Clay?
Yeah, that's why I like this card so much. You're building up the division. We couldn't really keep on going with just Mikuro headlining all the time and Tension fighting all the time. You needed to expand if you wanted to get bigger. So I think this is definitely a good fight. I'm going with Falco.
And the other thing, like you just pointed out, it's really good to expand because the 135s are crazy, right? The bantamweight division in Rizin is crazy. I've argued with people that it's as good as the UFC in my mind, 1 through 10. But by any means, it's so good, and they've made about 5 signings, I want to say, since New Year's Eve or around there. Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of bantamweights. I'm hearing something like we could get a 32-man tournament, which would be unbelievable.
You know, it's always good to expand because you have competition in more weight classes. For example, you have John Tuck. You have that guy who lost with MVP. I don't remember his.
Anzai.
Yes, Anzai. And it's always good to see more and more new fighters. I was saying it for a couple of months. Bring back Mariusz Jaromskis to Japan.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
I think with Rizin rules, he will do the enormous job. When he was winning the dream title, he had not possibilities to stomp and soccer kick that guys.
That's a
Right
really
now,
good idea, Daniel. That's a really good idea. Bring him back ASAP.
Just make sure that they put into the contract that there's no way he ends up fighting Sakuraba again, because I don't want to, like that one time he almost kicked his ear off his head. I don't want to see that, but I do want to see him walk out dressed up like Akuma.
You know what's funny
just
that you
doing
say that because I'm not convinced that we won't see Sakuraba fight again.
Yeah, don't. No, put him in these grappling matches, please. Put him in as many like wrestling-based things, but no strikes, man.
I bet you he's gonna fight again in the next.
What are they gonna? They're gonna match him up with tension in a kickboxing fight?
Hell yeah!
Something. Sakuraba's huge, bro, and he wants to fight.
I know, man.
Don't get it twisted. He wants to fight. It's the same with Hideo Tokoro, right? People kept saying like, "Oh, no more of this guy. He's old and shit," but this guy still wants to fight. Tokoro is still good too.
Yeah. So, in terms of the amount of fun on the ring, Tokoro was always good, always delivered. No matter if he loses or wins.
No, that's why he's one of my favorite fighters, because of what you just said. Did you guys happen to catch a Quintet? It was Quintet Akita. It was before the Quintet Ultra, and Tokoro was there with Sakuraba, of course. And did you guys catch that Quintet? I think that Team 10 Planet won it.
Oh yeah.
That was really good. That Quintet was really good. I would advise anybody that has UFC Fight Pass or can access it at all to go watch those quintets. They're really exciting.
These grappling events are getting really, really insane, man. It's dope. Like the team matchups, and then like the submission only. Yeah. And who was it? Was it somebody from 10th Planet, the big bearded dude that ran through one of the other teams and tapped like 3 or 4 of them in a row?
Oh yeah, it was the guy. I'm pretty sure it was the guy from 10th Planet. I'd have to look that up. But before we take a time, let's move on to the next bout. Roque Martinez, Guam Zone, really good guy. He fights out of Spike 22. Is facing Deki Shrek Sakine. Shrek and Rocky were supposed to fight at Deep. I want to say last year at some point for the Deep Megaton Championship. That was just what I heard, nothing official. I'm really glad it's happening in Rizin. Nothing against Deep. I really enjoy Deep. But I think that we just talked about it earlier, the division being built. Heavyweight division is what we all want in Rizin. Can we agree with that?
I think so.
And so what do you guys think about this fight? Have you guys seen Shrek, I believe, is 8-3, 7-3.
I think saw him get
game amount of losses.
I saw him get KO'd in 11 seconds by what's that African dude in 1FC?
Galani?
Oh, Galani or whatever.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, him. So he
got knocked out by that guy. That guy's lost so many fights.
I know, but how seriously can we take 10-second knockouts in MMA?
Yeah, that's true.
No. But dude, Shrek looked terrible.
No, I saw it.
And he's running like this. He's like turning his face away, and he's like chasing him down. And he got uppercutted.
He looked like Bob Sapp's last opponent, right?
Dude, because Rocky is fluid.
Weren't you guys there live for that fight?
Yes, that was so fun.
Yes, that was so
fun.
Was it as funny in the arena as it was to all the fans watching? I mean, we were laughing.
No. People were laughing in the beginning, but then as the fight went on and we saw that Bob Sapp didn't tap, it was a genuinely enjoyable fight. My wife.
No, it was. He was one of the most entertaining. To me, I was laughing
they
because
both
it was so
really
entertaining.
showed hard.
Yeah, no, it was so entertaining.
Initially, it started off where everybody was laughing at them, and they're like, come on, these guys. And then near the end, people were like standing up and clapping. That it's like these guys are nearly dead, they're bleeding.
I do got to say that Bob Sapp took some shots in that fight where we maybe would have seen him take a knee before, and he said, fuck that, I'm coming back, and he fucked that dude up.
Oh, man, it was good.
That was really good.
He burned his bridge with Rizin. And it's so disappointing because he
what happened? He got another DUI or something?
Not a DUI, man. He's not allowed to drive. Because sumo wrestlers in Japan aren't allowed to drive because they're too big to fit in cars and drive carefully. and his wife was in the car with him. She could have been driving, and he got in an accident, and then the traffic cameras caught them running out of the car and switching spots.
No
And then they
way.
said, no, so that's why he lost his sumo license.
Like
That's why he
like a
wasn't
dash
able to-
camera or what?
No, like a traffic camera up on the light. So like that's why he got kicked out of sumo, because he brought shame to the sport, and like it was conduct.
Wasn't he kicked out of sumo the first time for DUI?
Not a DUI. No, he doesn't drink.
Just from driving.
Just the fact that you're not supposed to drive.
But that's why he was kicked out the first time, right? So
that's why he was kicked out of sumo, and then he got kicked out of Rizin for doing the same thing again. And it's like, dude, Japan has a phenomenal subway system. Like, why are you in those tiny cars? Like
that, and the fact that people would have paid to watch this guy again. I mean, he showed some part in that fight too.
His entrance was sick. He's a big ass.
He came out to fucking Pink Floyd. It was a Pink Floyd song. It was One of These Days by Pink Floyd. I'll never forget.
Yeah. And then like just the whole like him showing up as a pharaoh. It was dope. He had the whole gimmick down. He had Josh Barnett in his corner. Why do you need to drive when you've already been kicked out of sumo for this, man? Like, and I was so disappointed because I'm like, I was excited to see him maybe against Crow Cop, maybe against Rocky Martinez. Like, yeah, you know, he's not a world beater, but it's a big dude, and it's exciting to see guys.
And someone like Rocky Martinez would gladly take that fight. I mean, how big is Shrek? Do we know that? He's bigger than Rocky, right?
I think so.
He is, but like, bro, he is still like.
But he's beat some guys too, Muhammad.
No, I know. But I'm just but I'm saying in terms of like his size, he looks big because he's got like really big hands and feet.
Yeah, I know.
Like, disproportionately.
No, he looks weird.
It looks like he like I don't mean to laugh, but it looks like he has like gigantism, right? Like, not these big ass hands, but a really small body.
I know, it's weird. He, like you said, well, he's only like 5'9" or 5'10".
That's what I'm saying, because that whatever African dude, Galani, he is not that tall and not that jacked, but he was like. They were the same size.
Yeah, I literally just watched the fight, like literally just now, and you can see that Shrek was much bigger than. But it's such an embarrassing fight. Like, I know you said we can't really judge like a 10-second knockout, but man, go back and watch this fight. This is not. It's pretty conclusive. Like he ran right at Galani.
Aldo got KO'd in 13 seconds. But Aldo didn't look. He didn't look as bad as Shrek did. That's all I'm saying.
Right. No, and I have seen, even though Shrek has only lost 3 times, I have seen him look kind of strange in the striking. But if he could get Rocky Martinez down, Martinez is in a little bit of trouble in my mind.
Rocky is super fluid with his striking, man, especially the new training footage I've been seeing and like how fluid his combinations look. I just think it's going to be, again, it's not going to be like a 10-second KO, but like I think it'll be a really, really bad night for Shrek. And Rocky is going to look really good.
15.
Yeah, 15.
Well, what do you think about this one, Teep to the junk?
Okay, with the first round elbows.
I don't think elbows are allowed in this bout.
No, no elbows.
No elbows.
Shrek declined them, which I was sad to hear. But I wouldn't want to take Rocky Martinez's elbows either, so I can't blame him.
He's gonna headbutt him and bite his artery. Or he's just going to knock him out with his fist. And maybe a soccer kick. I guess I'm going to default to soccer kicks tonight. Okay, first round soccer kick.
Maybe he's going to do a flying elbow knee drop. Who was it that said that? John Jones or Deontay Wilder? Deontay Wilder also said that he was gonna bury Fury with 6-foot-inch nails.
Anyway, so is anybody picking Shrek? Is anyone picking Shrek or no?
No, I'm not.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Oh, by the way,
big ass. Go ahead.
Daniel, I'm missing picks from you for the last 3 fights, man. You haven't been picking too many. You've been given a great breakdown, but you got to pick 2.
Last 3. So I think Quintero,
Souza,
Falconeto, and Roque Martinez.
Okay. Did you get that, Mohamed?
But you know, we have to. What?
Did you say Souza?
No, Falco.
No, Falconeto. Falconet, I think that the steroid guy will make some upsets. I have a feeling.
You think he's going to come in all juiced up or what?
He's he's suspended by a Bellator, so
why not?
Bellator did testing.
Yeah, well, that's the fact that it's pretty hard to get suspended by Bellator.
What the hell?
Right?
I never even heard of somebody getting suspended from Bellator.
I don't know how, but
did he do it right in front of Coker? Like, what was that?
No, but I read an article that Mohegan Commission makes tests for
okay. Yeah, I think they have a commission that follows them.
Same as California, but from what I understand, you got to be pretty dumb to not be able to pass these tests because they're not doing that like camp testing. You got to show up to the date on some steroids.
You know, the Falconetto problem, the Falconetto's issue was old school steroid nandrolone.
Yeah, nandrolone. Isn't that what they accused Tyson Fury of taking, him and Billy Joe Saunders?
I don't remember.
I think so, but anyway, I take back what I said. Shout out to Falco because he's my boy Manel Capes' boy, so no offense or anything, you know what I mean?
But he can do it. He can do that shit over there, right? You don't give a fuck.
Hey,
no
it's encouraged.
Of course, Gabby Garcia's in there.
Come on now. Let's be reasonable. She's completely natural.
Definitely. Have you seen her? She works out like crazy. She's natural.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In Gabby's defense, though, if you see her, there's this cutaway after she beat up the Granny Army. And her family's big. Her mom's big and her sister's big.
Hey, bro, she hasn't beat Kandori yet. That's all I'm saying.
What's that?
She hasn't beat Kandori yet. She beat that Hata chick, but she didn't beat Kandori. So until she beats Kandori, I can't say she's beat.
Do you know what's happening with Gabby, Zach?
Yeah, why is there such a big gap, man?
She just filmed a movie with Halle Berry. I think it was that same one that Valentina Shevchenko was in.
Oh,
I believe it was that same movie. But anyway, she was out filming that movie. It's hard for her to find opponents, to be real. I mean, she just won ADCC again for the 4th time.
Dude, Jermaine Durandamy can get a male opponent in a kickboxing fight. Why can't Gabby?
Again, we were talking about, people. It's hard for some of these big people to get in there because
Bob Sapp.
They're either making. I would like to see her against what's her name was calling her out again. Who's that Jasmine chick? What's her name?
Huh?
Didn't she fight Jazzy Gabbert? She fought her. She was calling out again, and then I know that Barbara Nepomuceno chick, she was a world champion kickboxer.
Oh yeah, I had high hopes for her, but
her knees were tore up in that fight, and she had no takedown defense. You know what I mean? So there is some opponents for Gabby, and I think that we could all agree we'd like to see her back, right?
But there is a remaining rematch with Oksana Gagoyeva, and that's by a no contest after IPOC.
Where is she? Is she fighting in Road FC?
I don't know.
Oksana?
I don't think so. No, Gagoyeva. It was a Rizin event.
No, I know, but where's she been fighting since then?
I don't know.
I want to say she was fighting for Road or Real FC, if I wasn't mistaken, because it was an organization that Rizin works with that they could easily, By the way, before we get to the 2 main cards, I wanted to say for anyone watching this, and I'm going to put this out on my Twitter, but we're going to do a little contest for someone to win a free Fight TV pay-per-view for Friday night's event, Friday into Saturday. So follow all these guys. I'll put all their stuff in there. We're probably going to do the most retweets, something like that. Somebody wins, and it'll be a free pay-per-view. This is definitely an event to use it on. If you're on the fence, about $20 or not, what the hell? You know what I mean? So shouts out to Fight TV for that, and to my panel of guests, because without them, it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, I'll retweet that for you. No problem.
Yeah. Right on. So we're all taking Rocky Martinez, right? I'm not picking in this fight.
I got Rocky atomic butt drop, round 1.
I'm gonna say a first round finish is really likely, but again, I want to say I've seen some fights that Shrek has fought that didn't look like. I've been watching that one that you guys were talking about, and I was kind of laughing. But I've seen him take guys down, and he's got really good control on the ground. Most of his wins, most of his dominance comes from taking somebody down. And I know Rocky Martinez has good ground game, but as we know, just like Daniel said earlier, it's a different dynamic in the ring. sometimes it's harder to take a guy down. Sometimes it happens to be easier because if they're by the ropes, they don't want to get a foul for grabbing onto the ropes when they're getting taken down. So sometimes it's just a little slip and you get taken down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's move to the co-main event.
Just so you know.
Go ahead.
I'm on a 5-minute counter, just so you know.
All right, well, we're at the co-main event. Mr. Victor La Mangosta Henry against Masanori Kanehara, who Kanehara was in UFC, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
What was his record in UFC? He was also in Deep, by the way.
I'll look it up.
I would like to know his record in UFC. It's been a while. And you know what the interesting thing is that he hasn't fought since he had a submission match with Victor Henry. Unless
2 years ago, no?
Daniel,
or like a year and a half, 2018.
But you know what? Kanehara was not fighting in MMA, but he was competing in grappling competition and in kickboxing competition.
Oh, so he was competing in kickboxing, because I knew I didn't just take the time off, but I've seen him compete in some grappling matches.
No, but he was out all of 2019 though. Oh. And that's like still considering that, like, despite of the Muay Thai and grappling fights, the latest one was 2018.
Yes.
And Victor Henry had like 3 fights in 19. So I think that's the big X factor.
Wow. I didn't know if he was for sure out all of 19. I just remember
all of 19,
the Victor Henry grappling match, which he subsequently won.
So the question is,
it was that quintet in June of 2018.
Yep. So then I guess what we ask is, what has more weight, the activity level and Kanehara being out for all of 2019, like a year and a half, 2 years almost, or the fact that his last victory was against Victor Henry?
Yeah, but it was, again, a grappling match. I think Victor Henry, like we talked about with Trent Girdham, I thought one thing that he showed was his chin in that fight, but also the ability to keep coming forward, and then having, like whoever mentioned earlier, that Josh Barnett was in, people's corners. Having Josh Barnett in your corner, especially in Japan, where you could hear your corner and every word that they speak. I'm sure you guys could hear Josh Barnett sitting in the stands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could hear him telling Victor Henry, pull that elbow. That's just an expertise voice in your head. I think Victor Henry gets this done, but I really like Kanehara. He's really good. I think this is probably fight of the night.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think the two things, like the biggest thing working against Kanehara is his lack of activity recently. That's why I'm leaning towards Henry. But just for shits and giggles, I'll pick Kanehara.
All right, teep to the junk. Who we got?
Yeah, I got Victor Henry by a second round arm triangle.
Play.
I got Victor Henry, but you asked me about Kanehara's UFC record. He went 1-3. His only win was against Alex Caceres. But his fight before he went into UFC, it was at Deep 66, and it says DQ, fighter thrown from the ring. I've never seen that. Seen that.
I've seen that a couple times of people getting tossed over the top of the ring.
Wow.
Daniel, what's your pick for Victor Henry versus Kanehara?
Hold on a second. I wanted to ask, were the wins in the losses in the UFC, weren't they decisions?
He lost to submission to Michael McDonald, and he lost the decision to Ronnie. Yeah, I can't even pronounce it. Yeah. But he beat Alex Caceres. That's a top fighter right there.
He's a good fighter, man. As we know, a lot of these Asians get into the UFC and they don't get a very fair shake when it comes to decisions, and then when it comes to proving themselves. You know what I mean? Let's just be honest.
Yeah, that's why I'm going with him. Clay, you had Victor Henry. Daniel, who did you have?
Victor Henry, because he's younger, he is on fire, and I think he's, in a good moment of his career. Masanori Kanehara is very experienced, but he had he had quite a large gap from the MMA competition, and he's on his past prime, he was competing at the top level in Sengoku and in UFC, but it was a couple years ago.
I want to say Victor Henry's on a 7-fight win streak, so he's in his.
And right now, Kanehara is also focusing on his training career. Not competing fighter 100% anymore,
So
You guys
who
are a bunch
picked,
of
who
cowards
picked
for
Kanehara?
picking. I did. You guys are a bunch of cowards for picking the favorite only.
Who else did? Didn't Clay?
Nobody.
Clay didn't
No,
pick Kanehara?
Clay went with Henry too.
Well, all I know is that I'll have a Victor Henry on the show, and we know who he's not going to answer from.
Hey, no, I like him. I'm saying he's the favorite, so he should be winning.
Too late. Get out of here.
Yeah, I'd consider it an upset if Kanehara gets a knockout. I consider
I
that a
would
big
too,
upset.
especially after Henry's battle with Girdham. But that leads us to the
Definitely.
main event, Mr. Mikuru Asakura, the outsider, against Daniel Salas. Where is Salas from, Daniel?
He's from Mexico. He was competing mainly in Mexico at the events in his homeland. He was a competitor of the second season of the Ultimate Fighter, Latin Ultimate Fighter,
Okay.
and he lost with the winner of this
Of the season.
of that edition. I don't remember that guy's name. But he's a striker, boxer, wrestler. But he can, turn on the Street Fighter mode or video game mode, and he can start doing some spinning things, spinning shit, and lots of unorthodox techniques. I don't know if he will decide to do it against Mikuru. But he can do it.
Would you say he put up more of a fight than Teep's Bellator guy that fought Mikuru last time?
I thought that was not a completely uncompetitive.
It was competitive, but I just never got the feeling that Macapa was gonna be able to shut Mikuru's lights off or anything.
Yeah. But he was still in the fight.
Yeah, he was landing some big shots though.
All right, let's all suck the dick of Bellator for a minute. So I could tell you already I'm going with Mikuru Asakura. I just think he's better on his feet. He's really gotten good at sprawl takedown defense. So even if Salas has good takedowns, Mikuru Asakura has shown against people bigger than him, Yusuke Yachi, for example, that he can stop takedowns really well. And he's really powerful. Again, Yusuke Yachi was a weight class above. And I felt Mikuru hurt him a lot more with not just punches, but with kicks.
Yeah.
I just think Mikuru Asakura, it's going to be hard to find a guy to beat him outside of a Bellator or something.
I got to go. So let me give you my prediction. It's going to be a round 1 KO, soccer kick, Mikuru. You know this.
Much love to you, bro.
Guys, I have
Thanks for swinging by. Talk to you soon.
Shoot it, Daniel.
I have a question for you. Do you see any weak points of the Mikuru stand-up?
He gets a little. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that this is the perfect time for him to take a fight like this, especially his right after his brother's coming off that loss, because even backstage he was like, "No, I told you to go for that takedown." So he, even if it's not personally, he has seen firsthand, like pretty as close as you can get to facing a loss yourself. Your younger brother getting KO'd by...
And he had never, Kai had never lost with Mikuru in his corner.
Exactly. So, and he's like, yo, you didn't listen to me. Like, you should have gone for the takedown, but you insisted on standing up even in the second round. So, like, with that fresh in his mind, I think he'll be even more careful. I'm not saying, like, boring or anything, but just much more mindful that we're not untouchable. And, like, I'm going to be sharp and crisp, but everybody was really overplaying Kai's, like, crispness and sharpness of his hands to put out.
I think we had talked before that event, and I was telling you guys that Kai throws too wide. He throws wide hooks. That's why, Daniel, to answer your question, Mikuru has some holes in his defense, but it's not a lot because his shots are real crisp. His defense is real crisp. He throws a lot of straight shots, whereas Kai gets wild. Mikuru doesn't get too wild, but I do see that sometimes he gets a little overconfident, and he starts to not throw very much. And if someone blitzed him, I think that's how you could get the best of him. But I honestly think he's the way better fighter than Kai. People have been hyping up Kai Asakura. He's a good fighter, but he's always gotten wild. He lost to Jae-Hoon Moon because he got wild.
Yeah.
We don't see Mikuru get wild very much. Like, he gets wild in the exchange, but not
Except that Yasuke Yachi fight. Because that one, he was, like, inviting it, but then he got lucky enough that he did land that finishing blow, but still.
And Yachi landed a couple fights or a couple shots on him. But what I'm saying is that Kai Asakura would kind of press forward with hooks and leave himself wide open to a straight punch, you know, down the drain. I'm thinking Mikuru Asakura. Clay, who you got?
Yeah, I got Mikura in this fight. I don't see Mikura losing unless it's like something in like unless he goes to like a Bellator octagon. Like I really don't see him losing unless he gets like that top opponent in a Bellator or UFC or something like that. I feel like if he's in Rizin, he's gonna stay that top fighter.
I agree. What do you think, Daniel?
What are you asking about the results?
Well, I'm asking who you think is going to win this fight, but who do you think gives Mikuru the biggest challenge of somebody that's actually we could watch him fight, even in Bellator? Because I agree with Clay. Let me just say I agree with Clay. I don't think he loses unless it's in a cage against a Bellator fighter. I think even the best 145ers in Bellator probably lose in the ring to Mikuru.
You know what? In Rizin, the featherweight division is still very thin. I think this year will be breaking year for the featherweight division in Rizin because they have to.
I agree.
You know, provide the competition in the division because of the Mikuru, because of their one of the main stars. Because Mikuru said that he does not want to make lightweight fights anymore.
Well, no, and then he has a YouTube career. He's talked about like, I'll only fight a few more times if that's what it takes. If I can't get any competition, I'll fight 2 or 3 more times and I'll be done.
Yes, he was saying that things, but you know, he's sometimes he's saying too much, you know. In that quote, he's saying that he wants to fight as much he can, but from the other hand, at the different occasion, he's talking that he wants to do much more YouTube money.
Right. So I think I agree with you 100%.
We don't know what's the true version of the Mikuru.
Right. No, I agree. But you're picking. Safe to say you're picking him.
This fight, I think that he will win, but I don't know if he will, how he will, treat Salas. If he will want to finish him as soon as possible, I don't think so. And it's everything in his plan. If he will want to try and train some things in his stand-up or maybe his ground game. I don't know. I'm sure that he will win, but I don't know how. But one very important thing we was talking about it today because of the new divisions in Rizin, and you miss only middleweight division. It doesn't exist. Every other division is exists more or less more, but exists in Rizin.
You know what's interesting about that is even in Pride there was really no welterweight division. They were considered middleweights, right? There was middleweights and lightweights. There was no real welterweights. And so I wonder if Rizin's going to kind of turn that welterweight division into a middleweight division, because that's kind of what they did in Pride, right? Some of these guys were 175, 180, 185 pounds. Anyway, that's an interesting thought. Mohammed, did you pick this fight?
Yeah, I wrote down Mikuru by Kikuru.
All right, and we're going to wrap up here, but final thoughts from everyone. Let's start with Clay. What do you got for us?
I remember you guys said we're not getting like 3 kickbox, like something about the opening fights or something we're not getting? What is that about?
For anybody looking at the screen, we're not getting the Tezuka Ozawa fight, the Yuya Koki fight, and the Henry Cejas against Sato fight. And I have no idea why. I think it's a fight TV thing. I don't know. I'll try to.
Wait, they're just not happening anymore, or they're not being broadcast?
No, they're happening. They're just not being televised by anybody outside of Japan.
Man. Oh, that's some bullshit.
I know. So we all may.
Those are such good openers, man. The kickboxing
like you guys said earlier, So some of the best fights end up being those kickboxing fights. So I advise everyone to, maybe tweet at Fight TV, tweet at Rizin, and let them know that we don't
that we want this, because Rizin 13, the opening fight was Taiga, wasn't it? And that was such a sick.
Tiger with Haraguchi.
Oh man.
And you, Mohammed, you know how much I've been on Taiga, right?
Yeah.
And so if I would have missed that fight, I would have had to, I'm gonna have to go back and watch GYAO or something like that in order to see these fights, which I will. But I think the main thing of it is nobody's gonna miss the opening ceremony. But I do think for us hardcore fans that we need to there needs to be cameras there for the extra hour, right?
Yeah, man.
So anyway, Clay, did you have anything else before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think this is a great card. I think we're going in the right direction in Rizin. A lot of people were expecting like a stack card with tension or something, but I kind of like this. I prefer this more. I like them expanding their library of fighters. I feel like that's what Rizin needs to do. And, the quick turnaround from the New Year's Eve show, I love it.
And I was going to say, if we want more events, this isn't an event that usually happens till April. If we want more events, then we have to support these kind of cards. And I agree with you, Clay. This card to me is as exciting as anything because it's not so top heavy. We talked about the Kyle Agwan fight, the Trent Gurdon fight. All those fights are exciting to me.
Lots of people complaining about this card, but I think it's exciting because of partially it's provides us new names such like Hokamura, such like Naoki Inoue, such like Vugar Karamov. So this is one of the reasons why it's interesting.
I know, I agree, and we'll all be watching. Mohammed, I'm going to give you the last word before I thank everybody.
No, I'm just going to echo the thoughts of what you guys said, that it's really, really good for them to be building their divisions and building their roster. It's the right direction, and it's really nice to be on the ground floor watching these new guys be up and coming. And it's easy to write off the level of competition, but it's really important to build up that talent. And
I couldn't agree more, and I think that's why we all need to support these cards. Again, I'll have a free Fight TV code to give away, but everyone else, it's $20. You could use you could get credits by inviting friends. I just think that this card is going to be worth it, and when we look back on it, I mean, over under of finishes, we do this every time. It's usually over 50% on every single Rizin
definitely
card.
Over.
And you rarely see that in a UFC or a Bellator or anything when it's got 13 fights to see more than half of them go to finish, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, I want to thank all you guys. Clay, thank you so much. Follow him, Uncle Joey MMA. Mr. Mohammed, don't follow him because he's antisocial. Mr. Daniel Dubs, you want to tell people where to follow you? Can you tell him your Twitter? Daniel, you.
This is the first letter of my first my first name and the second name, D. Jubicki.
All right, and we'll tweet all these out. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Let's do a recap after this card's over.